1992 Mini. This one's got a bit of a twist. It's been upgraded to a slightly different spec. So obviously it's a 92. It is a 1.3 injection car. So it would have come with the dash and interior off the same as this car. So we'll go and have a look at this and I'll just show you for a comparison. So as standard, it would have come looking like this with the large later model injection dash, so the word, the big wheel, all that sort of stuff. Whereas with this car, they've made it look more like your Mark 1, 2 and 3 car. So obviously your late 50s to 70s car. So as you can see, they've put it on smaller, narrow wheels. It does have the little fog lamps on the front. And it has the earlier style grille. So whereas the other cars have got a straight line grille, this has got the different grille, as you can see. A couple of them, bits and bobs, are small cosmetic things like that. Whereas actually at some point someone's put some real effort into some of the other things. So you've got things like your rally style rear light, which is quite a cool little thing, and the exhaust. But you will also notice that you've got 2 filler necks here. So this is to go with some of the interior mods, which I'll show you just briefly, and then we'll have a proper look at it later on. So the interior on this car, as you can see, it has your center clocks and the narrow dash. Somebody has gone to the trouble of putting a Mark II Cooper S style interior in there. So you've got your center 3 gauges and all that sort of stuff, which is some proper work because these cars are on ECUs, unlike the earlier cars. So getting them to talk to each other is a bit of a difficulty, but they've done it. With those early Mark IIs, one of the giveaways on a proper Cooper S is that it's got twin tanks. So obviously it would have twin filler necks. Most people, when they do something like this to the car, will leave one filler neck that's real. So on the later cars, this side. And they will then put a fake one that sticks on here. Whereas this one, someone has gone to the actual trouble of fitting twin tanks. They both work. You can put fuel in both of them. They both send to the gauge. So someone's put some real effort in there. And again, they've done more of the same on the interior, which we'll get to. We'll start by having a look at the bodywork. So like I say, it would have started off looking like that. As you can see there. Probably should have brought it a bit closer, but hey ho. It's then had a few bits and bobs done to it, but we'll look at the general condition and then we'll go around the rest of it shortly. So this seam here, which is always a bit of an issue area on these cars, is nice and clean. You do have a little bit of a spider, as you can see behind that indicator, and the paint has cracked down this seam. Now, this doesn't seem to be corrosion. It seems to have had a poor quality paint job at some point, because you've got it along here, it's cracked there, and then it's done it down the ridge of the bonnet and a little bit under the window. Now, it's not corrosion, the paint's just lifting, so it's quite a simple thing to remedy. And the nice thing is on a Mini, they come with these seams, so you've got somewhere to stop where your paintwork stops, so dead easy. Going down this driver's side, nice clean driver's door there, as you can see. Obviously panel gaps and everything are nice. Got the sort of earlier style chrome trim along there. The sill on this side, it is dirty with a bit of road grime, but actually is really good, even around the jacking points and everything. All nice and clean along there. So like I say, it's not rotten, it's just got a little bit of a paint crack here and there. This whole side of this car is nice and clean. No sign of any scrapes or dings. If you look down the side of the car, nice and straight. Like I say, it's got the smaller style wheels on it, which is really cool. Cream roof, lovely and clean. There's no dents or anything showing in that. Around this gutter is all nice, as you can see. Has a little bit of a tape over the bit where they join, whereas really that one's peeling off and the little clip putting on. They're about £4 from Mini Sport. There is a small crack in the paint there on the corner of the roof. And a couple more going along there, but nothing major at all. Go back to where we are on the driver's side. So again, twin tank inlet there. This seam, all nice and clean all the way down. Out of the rear, you do have that rear Mini rally style light. Twin exhaust, it does make a lovely noise, which we'll show you in a second. Lovely clean chrome bumper. Twin fog lamps. Both rear lights are nice and clean, nice and bright. They've not faded or anything like that. Round the rear screen, lovely and clean all the way around. You've got a little bit of a bleb there, which you can just see. Obviously, we filmed these in 4K, so you can see everything in really clear detail, and that's barely showing up. Around the boot, all nice and clean. There's a little bit of sort of peel in the paint on the handle. Someone's obviously repainted that at some point. around these seams on both sides is nice and clean. If we look underneath, this rear valance is all good, as you can see. A little bit of a crack to the paint there and a little bit here as it comes down this seam. To me, it just seems like a car that's not had the best paint job at some point. Large areas of it are lovely. A couple of bits and bobs here and there need some attention. Again, they've got it's just a bit of mark there. We just need to give the car a bit of clean. Coming down, you've got a small crack here and a little one at the bottom there, as you can see. The sill on this side, it's nice and clean again. And then again, when we come around here, you've got the same problem. So cracking down the seam, cracking along the lip, a little bit on the bonnet there. But obviously from 5 foot away, nice and presentable. You've got to get right up close and have a real good look at it. Annoyingly, the bonnet would have been great if it hadn't been cracked down there, because the rest of it's lovely. Earlier style grille, 4 lamps, chrome on the front's nice. Have a look at the interior. So you've got the check half leather door cards to match the seats, which are actually really nice and tidy, lovely and comfy. They've not sort of failed off or flopped down on one side or anything like that. The rear, all nice and clean. Door cards are good. Seats don't really look like they've been used much at all. Nothing to complain about in there. Headlining is nice. And then if we have a proper look at this dash. So obviously you'd have the much bigger dash on these sort of 93 and onwards cars, 92 and onwards. You can see where it would sort of mount across the top on this piece of trim here, which is lovely. It's been painted body colour to match the shell. And then they have fitted an aftermarket rev gauge there, but you've got your Mark II Cooper S style clock. So in the middle you've got the speedo with your fuel gauge, and it's showing 35,000 miles. That's also got things like your ignition light, high beam and all that sort of stuff. Temperature gauge on the left, oil pressure on the right. It does have a stereo which has been relocated down here. And then you've got your heater controls down the bottom and some extra gauges. So you've got amps, volts and a clock. All nice Smith's gauges, which is nice to see. And again, someone's done a lot of work to make it look like that. It looks really good. Gives a lot more room in the car than you'd think, actually. And then a couple of the other sort of changes they've done, I'll show you as we go around, but obviously things like the driving lamps, the twin tanks. We'll have another look in here. Inside of the boot lid is all good. Got your original toolkit there. Mini light spare. Main tank, second tank. In and around the batteries all nice and clean. The boot floor, which can quite often be a common area of issue on a Mini, is really good. So nothing to worry about there. Passenger side, another clean door card. Seat again, no real sign of any wear. Really good. Normally these cars would be a interior pull on the bonnet, but to go with the grille and everything, they've switched it to an external one, which is, again, it's another little touch to show someone's put some real effort in there. And again, in here, could do with a clean. You have to excuse the dodgy camera work. We'll get that propped up. There we go. I could do with a clean, but actually it's been in fairly regular use, I believe. But it is the injection car, so it is more reliable than your carb cars. These were available at the same time. You could still get a 1275 carb car in the 90s in the UK, but obviously there was the option of the injection as well. Again, you've got personal preference over what you prefer. Start it up. So as you can hear, it does have that exhaust on it. It does make a nice noise. It's not obnoxiously loud. It doesn't puff any smoke. It does seem to run and drive really well. We've left it running for a fair while we cleaned it the other day, and it was quite happy ticking over. Temperature gauge was where it needed to be and all that. So yeah, there you have it. You've got a late model injection Mini with a whole load of mods to make it look like a Mark II, or an earlier car if you like a Mark II, obviously would have exposed door hinges. But yeah, it's a nice, reliable, quirky example of a classic Mini. If you've got any questions or inquiries, please get in touch.